First of all, I want to say Brakatham, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the Hopeful Left, started with 144,000. Shalom. So, I'm outside taking a walk, doing a little daily walk I just started doing, to get outside with the weather getting better, I guess you could say, taking walks, and Lord willing, let the Spirit come upon me, study a little bit before I get out here, and then let the Spirit come upon me to bring a lesson, and as I go on this walk, go into it, as Apostle Gabar, or, Elder Apostle Gabar, Elder Apostle Harmon would say, the walking talks, once again, like I said, I'm outside, so excuse if the wind gets too loud, or any cars ride by. I'm gonna try to keep the mic closer to me so, I can be clearest, I can, Lord willing, right? And yesterday, right, we had a good camp. People, everybody else in the world, they just holly-jollying around, getting turned up, getting drunk, having fun, doing these things, right? And to be honest, the scriptures that come to mind off, even just off the rip, think about it, like days of Noah, right? They was partying, drunk, these things going on, and it's prophecy going out being fulfilled, and these people are still, caught up in these pagan holidays, these demonic schemes that Esau used to, deceive his people. And the camp we did yesterday, the title was, these people are programmed to be wicked. Esau used these devices, these things to keep our nation down and keep them hidden, right? Another precept come to mind, consult the hidden ones, right? That days of Noah, the Spirit just hit me with that. Just think about it, because, the scriptures say, right now I go to it, let me see, right here, right? It says, Matthew 24:36, I start there, right? It says, but of that day and hour, no man know, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only, right? Yahweh. Right? Yahweh Shah talking, right? It says, as the days of Noah, so shall the son of the, as the days of Noah, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be, right? It says, for as in the days that were before the flood, right? It says, and the things that were written before time, Romans 15:4, right? The precept I was bringing out yesterday as well, right? The things that were written before time is for our learning, right? There's the flood, right? The destruction, right? We know destruction coming to Babylon. This place is going to be destroyed, right? This place is going to be done away with, right? That's why Yahweh Bashem mercy is out right now to bring the elect, because the elect is the only one who's going to overcome that destruction, right? It says the elect is the only one who's going to be able to get on that boat to get away, right? It's like the days of Noah, right? It says, as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, right? It's like yesterday, right? You see a lot of people getting drunk, having a lot of fun, doing all these things of that nature, partying and celebrating these ways of Esau Edom, right? You don't even know, right? This place is weakening day by day. We getting closer and closer to our deliverance, man. Right? Esau know it, but Esau used these devices and these things to, keep things going, keep you distracted, keep you in the world, right? Those devices, those snares, those traps, right? They keep you in the world to keep you focused on these worldly things, keep you in that flesh, right? Because the ones in the spirit, these things mean nothing, right? Because we understand the true, as you can say, the true holidays of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, right? The Passover, right? Things like new moon, the true Sabbath, things of that nature. Right? Excuse me, this dog right here ain't got no leash. So, excuse me. Gonna pass this dog. In fact, got my son in the stroller. I want to make sure this dog stay in his yard, But, we ain't scared, How about you outside? You protected, right? But, as I said, right? They keep you hidden. They keep you focused on the things of this world, right? And that's what they love to do. Right? And people so caught up in these holidays and things of this nature, right? They don't have no understanding to get out their ways, right? Even just yesterday, right? We went into the true knowledge, the true origin of Easter at the camp, right? How they would, paint the eggs with the baby's blood. They're all things of that nature, right? The people, but the spiritual man would understand these things, but the carnal man, he wouldn't be able to receive those things, right? Like the brother WR brought out yesterday, 1 Corinthians 2:14, right? They wouldn't be able to understand those things, receive those things, because they so caught up in the world, right? But Spirit just on me leading me to that. But the point in the lesson today that I was going to go into, right, well, I'm going to go into, Lord willing, right, is going into, not lean not into thy own understanding, right? And I knew, like, and I was thinking about it this morning. I woke up kind of early, right? I was thinking about it. Woke up kind of early. Was studying a little bit, things of that nature. And I woke up kind of early as I was thinking about it. I'm just like, how like people in the world, like, if you go to like their Instagram or they Twitter, things of that nature in their bios, or they have like precepts, they have like scriptures, like they don't have like a quote, but they have like Psalms 23 or Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, things of that nature, the one I'm gonna go to, right? And they have these things in their bio to, like, I guess it's like a reference to them to, like, acting like they just, giving that honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? But we know they don't have the true understanding of, they don't have the true understanding of these scriptures. It's not they don't understand what these scriptures really mean, who these scriptures really talking to, right? We know this book is for who? The Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites. This book is talking to the Hebrew Israelites, right? And it's prophesying against the other nations, let them know what destruction they're gonna go into, right? They don't have no knowledge to understand these things. These people so caught up in Christianity, people so caught up in all these things, they just grab precepts that fit them in their time of, that fit them in their time of how can I say, that fit them in their time of need, time of distress, right? How they feeling at that moment, right? Somebody trying to come up in life, right? Somebody trying to come up in life, right? They'll find a precept, that's talking about, the Most High to bring you up, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying, right? But you gotta understand, lead not to thy own understanding, right? And this scripture comes, through the Spirit of Yahweh. This lesson comes through the Spirit of Yahweh, but it comes from yesterday, right? I was gonna bring these two precepts out, but the point had end up, the Spirit hadn't led us to another subject at that time, right? It was flowing, I ain't want to go back. I was just thinking, I'll get a lesson done on the Lord willing, right? But it came because as I was watching El Apostle Tahar, El Apostle Gabar Street Ministry, they camp last Saturday, right? And El Apostle Gabar brought this out, right? I'm letting this bus pass by, right? And so I'm gonna read it, right? I'm gonna read it from where Apostle Gabar had started that, because it hit me, right? So going right here is wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us where we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret, right? Labor meaning study, work, study to interpret, right? It says, for the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them, right? And I want to get a lesson done on this, and I was actually watching the Street Ministry. I'm like, oh, that's powerful, right? Because you had these people in this book where, why is his name not wrote in Yahweh Shai in the book? In the book. Because why? This book was translated, right? It was translated to other languages, right? And I was just, and it's crazy. I was watching the lesson earlier, and Apostle Hart was saying, right? You had if I'm not mistaken, he said the New Testament is like Greek, right? And you have Old Testament is Hebrew and I forgot what he said. Let me see if I put it in my notes. I ain't put it in my notes, but I forgot exactly what he said. But point being, right, that the book was took and rewrote, right, into these other languages, right, into these own understanding of men, right. That's why it says, right, precept says, right, bring it out real fast. Acts chapter 5, right? I started verse 24, right? It says, and now when the high priest and the captain of the temple and the chief priest heard these things, they doubted of them whereunto this would grow. Then came and told them, saying, behold, the men whom ye put in prison are standing in the temple and teaching the people. Right? He said, then the captain with the officers brought them without violence, for they feared the people lest they should have been stoned. Right? He said, and when they had brought them, they set them before the council, and the high priest asked them, saying, did we not straitly command you that you should not teach in this name? Right? So they in jail, right? And they trying to tell them, right? That we don't tell you teaching your name, teaching the true name. That's my son. But teaching the true name, teaching the true knowledge, right? And it says, I swear, man, this road will be, dry. As soon as I, take a walk around the block, it's traffic like I'm on a highway or something. Just be, right? But it says, saying that we straightly command you that we should not teach in this name. Behold, we have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine, and it intends to bring this man's blood upon us, right? Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, right, because Yahweh left this ministry to the disciples, later turned into apostles, right? So he said, and it's for them to go out and stir up and teach the word, teach his knowledge, teach the true understanding, right? He said, then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey Yahweh rather than men, right? We ought to obey Yahweh rather than men, right? Because why? A carnal man ain't gonna receive these things, right? But when you understand it, right, that the spirit of Yahweh come upon us, right? Just like another precept, right? And I was studying for I went into the lesson. These precepts was like, oh yeah, these precepts go good with the lesson. That's the spirit, right? Hebrews 1, right? Hebrews 1:1, right? Says Yahweh, who at sundry times in diverse manner spake in the time past unto the fathers by the prophets, right? Who's our father? The Hebrew, like I got my note, Hebrew Israelites aforetime, right? Fathers, the Hebrew Israelites in the past, right? And sundry times mean different, right? He says, and hath in these last days spoken unto us by his son. Who's that? Yahweh Shai, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom he also made the worlds, right? And don't Romans chapter 8 tell us, right? If we be then heirs and then joint heirs with Yahweh Shai, right? Because we heirs of Yahweh, and we joint heirs with Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai is that mediator, right? He said we are supposed to suffer with him. So us teaching this true knowledge, true understanding, we gonna suffer things. People gonna say we speaking foolishness. We speaking foolishness, right? Because why? They lean into their own understanding, right? They lean into their own understanding. They don't have the true understanding of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. They don't have the true knowledge of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right? That's why 1 Corinthians chapter 1, it's, and I just did a lesson on this the other day, right? Going there talking about, the wisdom of his word is foolish, right? Yahweh used the foolish to confound the wise, right? And he could use the weak to confound the strong, right? Because wow, we're seeing weak, right? And we seeing foolish with the things that we say, things that we speak, right? Because we don't speak of our own understanding, right? Then he say, think not what to speak. Let me see. And that time. Let me see now. I'm gonna just do it like this. Excuse notifications. And that time it shall be given unto you. Oh, let me type in. What's it say? Okay. Matthews 10. Matthews 10. Right? Matthews 10:19, I get to the point, right? It said, but when they deliver you up, right, take no thought how or what you shall speak, for it shall be given. When Peter and the apostles locked up, when he told them they was in jail, even in jail, preaching his word, right? He says, take no thought for what you shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the spirit of your Father which speaketh in you, right? The spirit of your father which speaketh in you. So that's the, that's the understanding of Yahweh Shem Shah, right? He comes upon, he speaks through us, right? That's why he said, don't hide your light behind a bushel, right? Shine your light forth, so that men can see. Right, let's be paraphrasing. Right, the spirit speaking through us, right? That's kind of the point in the lesson, the whole thing, because you got these people, and I was going to the name mostly. The whole time I was really thinking about, I was like, it's the name is one of the biggest things, right? They go into the name, JC things, this and that, we calling all these names, Yah, whatever they want to call them, right? But the father name is Yahweh, and the son name is Yahweh Shah, right? But you have these people in their own understanding, they can't receive it, right? But Ecclesiastes, 17, right? I said, his elect shall praise his holy name, right? His elect, right? His chosen ones, the ones who are going to receive his knowledge, the ones who didn't bow down to the image of Baal, that remnant that's saved, that remnant that's going to return back, right? But you have the other people, they wise in their own understanding, they wise in their own knowledge, right? They're not wise in the knowledge of Yahweh Shem Shah. They ain't trying to do the righteous works. They ain't trying to preach the righteous name, right? Because if you is, right, you understand, that his name is Yahweh and Yahweh Shah. But you have these people, they go out and they teach their own thing. They teach their own name. Christ blessed, or Yah, or JC, or things of Jehovah, things of nature, right? But that's the understanding of this world, right? That's the natural man understanding, right? That's not the understanding of Yahweh Shem Shah, right? Because once again, I read it again, right? It says, "For it is not ye that speak, but the spirit of your Father which speaketh in you." It's not you that speak. Once again, I like to use 1 Samuel, I want to say it's 10:6, right? It says, 1 Samuel 10:6, right? It says, "And the spirit of the Lord will come upon thee, and thou shalt prophesy with them, and shalt be turned into another man," right? And also, like, even with the left hand spirits, right? The Most High put left hand spirits on people to do these things as well. But this right here is going into, I'm talking about, the righteous, the elect, right? The righteous elect. Those people with the left hand spirit, that's those, they lost, they going off, right? That's those understanding of men. They in the carnal mindset, right? But I'm talking in the sense of, those right-hand spirits that Yahweh Shem Shah is sitting upon you and put you in a trance, like you hypnotized, right? You speaking this knowledge, it just flowing through you. That's what he do. When the spirit comes, you turn into another man, right? That's why he said, put off the old man, right? Because why? You got to put off the old man. You got to be born again of the spirit, right? And I was going to go to that, John 3, but the precept I was going to go to in John 3 was the one where it says, right? John 3, it says, right? Let me see what I was trying to get to. Oh, John 3:8, right? It says, "The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but cannot tell where it's coming," right? The wind blowing, you can tell where it's coming from, right? That's what he said. "And whither it goeth," right? So is everyone that is born of the Spirit, right? Because the Spirit gonna lead you. The Spirit gonna lead you. The Spirit gonna lead you where you need to go. You don't know the Spirit. You don't know where the Spirit going. The Spirit gonna take you there, right? The Spirit gonna take you where you need to go. That's why, once again, lean not into thy own understanding, because the Spirit gonna lead you exactly where you need to go, right? That's why he said, cast all your care upon him, right? 1 Peter 5, right? I started verse 6, right? 1 Peter 5, verse 6, right? It says, "Humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of Yahweh, that he may exalt you in due time." And people be trying to overstep, man. And I was thinking about this earlier. I was thinking, like, bro, who do you think you are to think you could? And matter of fact, not just in the rambler, but what the precepts say, any who should add or who any should take away or add unto, that should be taken away from the tree of life, you're gonna be destroyed, man. You're gonna be destroyed, right? Paraphrasing, right? But you're gonna be destroyed, right? You trying to come into this knowledge to understand these preachers, these people, who you go out and listen to, and they telling you these things, not knowing the understanding these things, like these wicked scribes and Pharisees, things of this nature, right? It's what he said in Matthew 23:15, right? You condemning them, worse you condemning yourself. You making them twofold child of hell, right? That's the paraphrasing. You fucking them up worse than you fucked up, right? You know what I'm saying? You ever seen a conniving person? You ever seen a conniving person that been taught by a conniving person? That motherfucker be more wicked than the person who taught him, right? You even watch movies where the nigga be so fucked up The next thing you know, he ended up killing a nigga who taught him how to be fucked up. And get what he said? What he say before he killed him? You taught me this. You raised me this way. You know? That's how these people do these. That's how these people do these people. They raise them up. They raise them up and teach these things. These people be so lost. Therefore, when they come to the true understanding of how Shai, they have no knowledge to understand it. They're foolish, childish children. Right? They're gone off. You know what I'm saying? They're gone. Right? Their mind is stuck. Right? Their mind is stuck in a different trance, a trance of their left hand spirit. Right? Caught up in the ways of this world. Right? But it says, cast all your care upon him, for he cares for you. Cast all your care upon him. Right? Once again, you know, letting the spirit of Yahweh lead you. Right? Because when you try to go your own way, try to do your own thing, guess what's going to grab you? Right? Be sober, be diligent. Why? What did it say? Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walked about seeking whom he may devour. And that's what he do. Oh, we can trick this nigga. This nigga, he ain't studying nothing. He ain't really trying to understand. He just looking at it. We finna get him. You know, he's looking to do it, right? And like I was saying yesterday, right? Go look on Instagram, Facebook, whatever you want to do. Look at how many celebrities, rappers, football players, basketball players. Go look at how many posted something about Easter, posted Easter pics, things of that nature. Go look at how many of them. Go look at how many of them. You know. Go look at how many of them posted anything about the Passover, posted anything about the new moon that's coming up April 20th. Go look at things of that nature. You don't see that, right? Because why? Because these people don't have no understanding of their own understanding, right? They thinking that you know these things, the understanding of this world. You know, they're so caught up in this world that they can't get the understanding how about Shai. They ain't leading them to him. This thing let the spirit lead them. They moving carnally, man, right? They moving carnally, right? So I want to go to Romans 8, right? It says, let me see where I want to go to. Romans 8:4, I started at verse 5, right? He said, the rights of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh, but after the spirit, right? For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the spirit do things of the spirit. Once again, right? Do things of the spirit. Right? Because why? You don't have those evil demonic ways on you. Because what it says right here, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Right? Because this flesh gonna be done away with, man. You know, this flesh gonna be done away with. Right? We're gonna be changed. Right? We're gonna be changed. We're gonna be changed to our spiritual bodies. Right? But you so dumbed out wicked in that wicked ass spirit, you can't understand these things. Right? So you gonna keep going on and trying to profit in the flesh. That's what they do, try to profit in the flesh. You thinking that celebrating these holidays or calling on these wicked names, calling these people these idols, you thinking that that's going to profit you, that's going to put you forward, it's going to put you, or even the ones who in the Israelites, right, as we know, IUIC, right, they thinking, you know, deceiving the people. What they doing it for? Money. They going off. Like I was watching the lesson earlier, I was finishing the lesson earlier, the street ministry, but Apostle Gabar saying, man, boy, Nate is he was like celebrity. His people down there at King getting peeped on things of that nature. He out there doing interviews, man. You know, they doing it for money, man. They doing it for profit. That's why he said, man, a gift destroys the heart, right? That's why we don't want nothing in this world, right? That's why we don't move with nothing in this world. Because why? The understanding of this world is foolishness. It's gonna lead you straight to destruction. Micah 2:10, right? It's gonna lead you straight to the fire pit, man. Yeah, it's gonna be burned up. Yeah, it's gonna be gone. Right? Yeah, it's gonna get caught up in the destruction and going off, right? Because we know, you know, in this whole time, right? And we gotta understand, this whole time, what you really gotta understand, man, is we're on a path of righteousness right now. Nobody's perfect, man. We're on a path of righteousness right now, right? But just how you go to the gym, you know, just how these football players train for their football game, they train for basketball year round, do these things of nature. That's what we doing in this truth, man. We training ourselves up. We preparing for battle, man. We preparing for battle, not no carnal battle. Our weapons are not carnal. Our weapons are spiritual. We ready for the battle of spiritual wickedness in high places, man. You know, Jacob's trouble, things of that nature. The MOTB trip, things gonna be hard. You ain't gonna be able to buy or sell, things of that nature. We preparing for this. We preparing for that, man. We getting ourselves ready, right? Revelation 19:7. We getting ourselves ready, right? Because we know hard times come, perilous times gonna come. But you know, and that's why he said, cast all your care upon him, right? Because he gonna lead us into that. He gonna guide us. He gonna protect us. He said, your Lord should go and fight for thee, right? Yahweh Shai is gonna fight for us, his elect. The rest of you gonna be destroyed. The the rest of you gonna be destroyed, right? Because why? You so caught up in the ways of this world, man. You know, you with your own understanding, right? So when these things pop off, right, and how about you outside lead the elect, right? Your ass gonna be what? Trying to figure out what the hell to do. Trying to figure out what they say, right? When you say they should call on me, let me see, I think that's Proverbs, right? We can go ahead, Brandon. We can bring that out, Proverbs, right? Matter of fact, this is actually good. And we're gonna jump down to as well, right? We start at verse 4, right? He said, to give stability to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, right? A learning of the spirit, learning of the true knowledge, right? He says, a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel, right? Once again, you go back to 1 Peter 5:5, right? It says, you know, humble yourselves, use humility, you know, submit to an elder, right? Because, you know, the elders before us, they had this knowledge, right? You know, so, the elders, apostles, you know, GMS, the teachers, GMS, right? They had this knowledge, they had this understanding, right? You know, and how about Shah telling the spirits through them, right? To help gather the elect, you know. And I don't want to say his name wrong. I'm thinking Elder, you know, the elder who started with, who founded the One West, right? Going all the way down and leading all the way down to, you know, GMS with the 100% truth, right? But you got to be able to learn, desiring that sense of milk, building yourself up, right? Because you're not just gonna come into this thing highly knowing it all. You're not, right? So you gotta be able to listen and take learn. Because a wise man gonna listen. But like in school, when you really want to learn something, when you really want to learn the truth, you gotta sit down and listen, watch lessons, study, right? Because Yahweh Shai is channeling his spirits through these men, through the righteous men, through the elect, to help gather the elect. That's why he said, "You love me, feed my sheep," right? That's why everybody got talents, right? That's in 1 Corinthians, right? Everybody got talents. And it's for you to get out here and stir up. It's for you to get out here and use your talent to gather the elect, right? Matthew 25, right? The man who got 10 talents, the man who got 5, right? He went and brought back double. He went and brought back double. The man had 1 talent, he ain't bring back nothing. I said, man, I should have gave my money to the bank. At least I would have got by with something, right? You know, when he give you this light, it's for us to shine forth. Because the elect gonna hear these things. The elect gonna return back. His sheep hear his voice, right? He says to understand the proverb and the interpretation and the words of their dark sayings, right? Once again, there's those dark sayings again, Matthew 13, right? You know, it's for us to understand these miracles, these parables, these mysteries, right? The elect, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shah, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, right? The world ain't gonna understand these things. The carnal man ain't gonna understand these things. But the man of the spirit, who don't lead into his own understanding, but leads to the understanding of Yahweh Shah, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shah, they gonna understand these things, right? He says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction, right? Because why? They don't fear Yahweh Shah. For you to go out here and call on these names, calling these other, you don't fear Yahweh Shah, you know, but you will soon, right? But you don't, right? Because you know what he did to Pharaoh, right? You know what he gonna do to the Edomite. You know what I'm saying? If you really know what you know, your ass stop calling these idols. You know, stop calling these dumbass names that this world put in front of your face. But once again, they lean into their own understanding, right? So jumping down real fast. Another one, right? It's the spirit, right? Another one, right? Proverbs 1:15, my son, right? You know, my son, right? You know, when it says children, in Hebrew that means sons, right? And when it says children in the book, in Hebrew that means sons, right? My son is elect, right? He says, walk not in the way with them. And you can have sisters too, right? But he says, walk not thou in the way with them. Refrain thy foot from their path. Right, because they walking on that what? What path they on? They on that wide gate path, that path of destruction. We on that narrow passage, that narrow passage leading to the kingdom. We gonna face a lot on the way to that kingdom, that path of righteousness, right? Right, he says, for their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. And they lay wait for their own blood. They lurk privately for their own lives. So are the ways of everyone that is greedy of gain, which taketh away the life of the owners thereof. Wisdom cried without, she uttered her voice in the streets. She cried in the chief place of the concourse and the openings of the gates. In the city she uttered her words, saying, how long will you be simple with them? If you understand, like, the gates, right? You know, back then, the gates was like somewhere they go out and buy and sell. You know, this is where there's a lot of traffic things going on with that, right? So what are those gates today? right? When brothers out on the highways, the byways, right? A good example, if you watch GMS Cyclone, the Elder Zotbot, right? When he out there on the script, things of that nature, people out there buying things of that nature. That's reference to the gates, man. That's where everybody at. People out there, it's people out there walking back and forth. People, as you see, people stop, people hear them, people ignore. You have Jake be out there ignore. That's why, and like it says, how long will you be simple ones? Will you love simplicity and scorn delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. It's simple, right? They hate the knowledge of how about Shem Shot because they in their own understanding, right? But I'll keep reading on, right? It says, turn ye at my reproof, behold, I will pour my spirit unto you. Once again, that spirit, right? He said, I will make my words known unto you. How? Through the prophets, man. The spirit of the prophets is subjected to the prophets. Yahweh Shem Shah and his reincarnation, the prophets are still here, man. So Yahweh Shem Shah, the comfort come upon the prophets, the elder teachers in this truth, right? And the word goes out, right? The word goes out. But you have people who turn away from it and lean to their own understanding. Nah, that ain't what the scripture mean. I had somebody try to tell me one day, say, you gonna have your understanding, I'm gonna have my understanding of it. I told him straight up, I don't have my understanding of this, right? When I used to read this book, I ain't know these things before I came to this truth. I didn't know what these things really mean. I was just like you. Shit going bad, I need the rent paid. I'm trying to find something I'm trying to find a script that's gonna make me feel good about the rent gonna get paid, right? You know what I'm saying? I used to, before I came to the truth, I used to read, if I had the true understanding, coming to GMS, I used to read Romans 8:28, all things work good for those, worth paraphrase it, right? I'm thinking that's, without understanding, right? You got to be in the spirit, how about Shem Shah? I'm thinking that, that's talking about I'm finna be a star football player. I understand it, man. You gonna separate all things work good. He gonna bring you out this world. And guess what? Things gonna go good when we get into that kingdom, man. Yahweh Shem Shah gonna provide for us down here. We're gonna, that's all we pray for is convenient for us. But things gonna go good when we get into that kingdom, right? He says, turn you at my reproof. Behold, I'll pour my spirit out unto you. I'll make my words known unto you, right? He said, because I have called and ye refuse. I stretched out my hand, no man regarded, right? They don't want to listen, right? But the point being, I want to jump down to verse 26. Read 27 real fast, right? It says, I will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation and destruction, cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish upon you, they shall call upon me. Hey, what's that name y'all was saying? Hey, what's that name? Yahweh Shah. Please, Yahweh Shah, help us. Now go call on JC, man. Go call on Allah, man. Go call on Jehovah. Go call on all them names. See what they gonna do for your ass. So they gonna do for your ass, right? He said, they shall call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, they shall not find me. For they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord Yahweh, right? Once again, what he said up here, right here, the fear of the Lord, right? What's the fear of the Lord? It's the beginning of knowledge, right? You never fear him, so you don't have no knowledge. You lean into your own understanding, right? And so, Lord willing, right? Precept right here. Wrap it up real fast right here. Right here, Proverbs 3, right? I'll start at verse 3. Right? It said, let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thy heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of Yahweh and man. Right? It says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into thine own understanding. Lean not to thy own understanding, right? In all thy ways, and all your ways, acknowledge him, he shall direct your path. Where the spirit goeth, just like the wind coming, where the wind bloweth, right? No man knows. Just as well as the spirit, man. So when the spirit come upon you, cast your care upon him, and he will direct your paths, all your paths, right? He said, be not wise in thine own eyes. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Don't be trying to see from a carnal level, see from a spiritual level, right? Fear the Lord. What's the beginning of wisdom? It's the fear of the Lord, right? And depart from evil. Depart from evil, man, right? So, with that being said, right, Lord willing, the lesson was edifying. And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the hopeful left start with 144,000.